Hi, welcome to D10tion, where we pretend to know what we're talking about when it comes to D&D. I am your host, Tipping the Scales, Tristan. To my left, we have Sam, Hoarder of Dice. And to my right, we have Halitosis does not count as a breath weapon, Brandon.
Bing. I feel attacked.
Raise your hand if you've ever been personally attacked by Tristan.
Wait.
Depression's real, man.
Oh, man.
So, those kind of match with what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the race of the Dragonborn. As always, when it comes to when we're discussing about the different races, we're not going to delve deep into their culture, because a lot of these races, especially when you talk about things like elves and dwarves and stuff, their culture, their history is very, very vast and deep. So you can explore that in your own time. This is kind of like with when we did the classes that we're talking about, kind of a general overview to get you kind of introduced and just seeing if these are kind of things that you want to get into. Plus, if you're doing short things like one-shots and stuff like that, you don't need all the information just about them. So today we're talking about the Dragonborns.
Not Skyrim.
No.
Every single time I talk to a new player, you can be a Dragonborn, and they go, like in Skyrim? And I go, no. Not like in Skyrim.
No, these are quite literally born of dragons. These are dragon people.
There are humanoid-shaped dragons.
Right.
Scaly boys.
They're scaly boys.
Yeah, this is where you'll see that they tend to have a lot of the colors of the different dragons.
The chromatic and the metallic dragons. They don't have wings and they don't have tails.
Correct.
But they have scales, teeth,
and a dragon face.
and a dragon face, and claws.
And a breath weapon, which we'll talk a bit more in a little bit. But these are very vital things. Of course, this is when you're creating a character and you're looking to see the different benefits, different ones. Stuff like that plays a huge role. It's like, I want a character that's strong, but has a breath weapon. It's like,
right.
Ooh. So Dragonborns are that. They are born of dragons. They usually have some form of dragon in their bloodline. Whether it's recent or further down the line, this is where you'll see some of them. There's interbreeding, so their colors might change from exactly what they are. They could be anywhere from vibrant to like a muddled color.
Yeah.
So, and that's just it comes down again with the history and the background of these. Some
Dragonborns go off on their own and have their own lives. Some are the willing servants to more powerful dragons. Some are, soldiers in war because they're dragon people and they're tough.
They're
tanks.
big old guys. Yeah.
But a Dragonborn, I always say tough tanks. Dragonborns can be any class. We're not going to talk
Right.
about that, but they don't, just because on what they appear to be does not mean that you are limited to a few selections after race.
Right,
So,
absolutely. And this is something that we'll discuss time and time again, that no matter what the race is, you can still be any class. Doesn't matter if you're, a 7-foot-tall Goliath, you can still technically be a rogue and just be a really sneaky 7-foot-tall Goliath.
hilarious, but
Very funny.
So, yeah, dragons tend to be very proud. They're very self-sufficient. They're often very stubborn. And these are just common personality traits that you'll run into. The blood of a particular type of dragon runs very strong through the Dragonborn clan, so they're very... what's the best way to put it?
Family oriented. Their
Okay,
clan
yeah,
is
there
sort
we
of
go.
like their life.
They're very big into their ancestry. They'll be friendly with other Dragonborns because again it very much is a clan thing, but they're going to be more aligned to ones of similar bloodline or.
So if you're playing in traditional D&D without messing up the world building too much, it would be chromatic and metallic.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are a chromatic dragon, they're most likely like, yeah, what's up? If they're metallic, they're going to be like, yeah, what's up? Then those two meet, they're like,
I hate you.
you're a
please
jerk.
And a lot of that comes down to the vast history of dragons and things like that. Because Dragonborns, if you're looking to really focus on that kind of stuff, you're going to want to look into the history of actual dragons as well. And there's a ton of that there. As with anything in D&D, there's a reason this has been around for.
a bunch of times.
Yeah, and it wouldn't hurt for some RP aspects to look into the history of dragons because some dragons are going to be like more helpful to like humanoid races than
Metallic.
others. Or even within the metallic and the chromatic, there are like specific ones that are like have different personality traits.
Cool.
So it might not hurt to take those personality traits and kind of apply them to your dragonborn. It could certainly help with a little bit of the RP.
Definitely, and also it would help your DM be like, okay, you're this type of dragon. Now I can make a whole family lineage and make it so if you want, you can go find Grandpappy Dragon.
Yeah.
Big bad Grandpappy Dragon.
Depending on the color you choose, it could be yay Grandpa or oh it's Grandpa.
Yeah.
and like we said, they're very clan oriented, so they tend to be mostly about the honor of the clan. It's not something you have to do. Obviously, we're very much the type of
You
people
can make it
that are
so
like,
your
but
you can make it so your Dragonborn clan is your party.
yeah.
They've been an outcast or they don't like their clan that they're from, so they're like,
Right.
my clan is my friend.
Right, because this is where you kind of mentioned they vary everything from soldiers to they could be very much adrift and just looking for their way in life, and that's where you can definitely have it. It was like, well, I didn't have a family, but now I have this.
Now I do.
Yeah, now
Or
I
they
have
were
this party.
exiled from their clan for
Right.
bringing dishonor on them. But the clan's such a big thing that when you're talking about like Dragonborn names, the clan name is often first. So the clan name would be the first name is sort of like a show of like honor or like of a respect to the clan.
But if you don't have a clan, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Now, Dragonborns, outside of being clan-oriented, are very skill-oriented.
Right.
They are based in mastering and for like improvement of a skill. And if you can go, I'm better at you than at this skill, they're going to be like, prove it. And then if you are, they're going to be like,
Well, no,
you're
I'm
cool.
gonna learn.
We're
You're
gonna
right.
learn
And like
now.
I said, they're very self-sufficient as a race. Like you said, like they're very focused on improving themselves at any given moment, which may explain why they're devoted to their ancestry because they want to learn as much as they can from other ones. Even though they all strive to be self-sufficient, they recognize that help is sometimes needed. This is where, like you said, like if someone is more skilled at them, they're more likely to be like, all right, I can learn from you, and be more, as much as they can be like a stubborn kind of race. When they see something where they can improve themselves, they're pretty good at like taking that in.
Yeah, so I mean, they in some Dragonborns even turn to gods when they need help.
Usually dragon god.
Usually, there's one big. Technically two, but there's one big one if you're going to be a good Dragonborn.
Right.
Bahamut.
Bahamut.
And then if you're going to be a bad Dragonborn.
We're not going to talk about that one.
What?
We don't talk about bad Dragonborn at this table.
Fine.
So,
Fine.
Right. So yeah, like Sam mentioned, names.
they're weird.
Yeah, dragons have a
It's not like Steve.
They have personal names given at birth, but they can. But like Sam said, they put the clan name first as a mark of honor. Childhood name or nickname is often used among friends and party members. It's usually a descriptive term or a term of endearment, like most names. And it might even recall an event or a habit or something like that. So yeah, this is where a lot of the names, like Dragonborns, have really complex names in general.
I don't even want to try in this anyway. So, yeah, some of the ones that everyone just like is told, like basic ones. I'm gonna try to do the ones I can do. Balazar, Donar, Gehesh, Heskin, Medrash. These are just guy names, if you couldn't tell. I'm sorry if you assumed that these are gender neutral, but these are apparently very male names. And the female names are Akra, Biri, Dar, Hanan, Sherry, Kava, Mishan. Like, these are very interesting names.
Yeah, think about the clan names though, because you're talking about like just this first one alone, Clethinithilalior.
Dardendrian.
Del Mirev. So,
I mean, they just
literally-
get more and more complicated. We're
Yeah.
talking about like 10 plus letters
You
in
can-
a last name.
if you want to make one that's your own and make it a little simpler, you can.
Right. By all means, like this is just again the traditional and history and stereotypical.
For
kind of
example,
thing.
when we were playing our campaign and we had a Dragonborn in our group, Rhaegorn, we sort of had a little short name for him, which was Greg.
which made no
Because
sense.
Greg was a lot easier for the party to remember than
Rhaegorn
Rhaegorn
Buzztooth the Third.
than whatever his last name was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can kind of take something like that and make it a little different. So maybe instead of your name being like Dinar, it's Dawn, or if you want to be Patron, it's Pat. You can simplify it a little
your
bit.
childhood nickname. If you were one that would bite a bunch of things, you'd be called Nar.
Yeah.
Or how they say there's like
Climber,
leaper, earbender. You could be called one of those if you really want.
Right. So yeah, the names are always a tricky thing because you can go one of two ways. You can one and try to do as much as a traditional name as possible,
right.
or B, you can do what a lot of people do, what they want to do, and just come up with a name that they like and go with it. If you're struggling with a name, by all means, there are plenty of name generators online. I know that we like to use one, especially for NPCs.
Yep.
It's so helpful. I think it's fantasynamegenerator.com.
Yeah, it has like a huge, massive list
of everything from
races, classes, towns, cities, continents.
Or if you don't want to do any of that, by Jove, name it Steve. If that's what your Dragonborn wants to be called, like they have this, you can make a Dragonborn name, but in the party be like, just call me Steve. You guys can't handle my name. So then you can just have them be called Steve, if that's what you want.
Or you can even start with a normal name, like something like Chris, and then add a bunch of letters on the end of it, and be like, this is my complex name. Just call me Chris, though.
Christophany. Just call me Chris. Bing, bang, boo.
I am Vintasaga.
Call me Vin.
Right? Yeah, there's different ways you can go about it. And I mean, that kind of goes for every race. But especially the more complicated ones, you might want to simplify it.
So we're gonna, so just as kind of like the good history of a kind of history about Dragonborns and what they're kind of about. So we're gonna kind of go down some of the Dragonborn traits. This is what you really focus on.
The mechanics of the game.
Yes.
Right.
So Sam, why don't you tell us what Dragonborns kind of start off with getting?
So you get a +2 to strength, which is because you're a big strong boy, you're a scaly boy, you're a bit stronger, and your charisma also increases by 1 because you're a dragon person.
So that
Dragons
either
cool.
you can take that charisma to either be I'm terrifyingly charismatic or I'm so pretty and beautiful I'm charismatic.
I'm such a unique and bewildering thing.
Exactly.
So Dragonborns, the young Dragonborn grow very quickly. They tend to they walk hours after hatching, much like like a horse or something like that, and attain the size and development of a 10-year-old human by the age of 3. And they reach adulthood by about 15, and then they live to be about 80.
So they live just under human.
Yeah.
So that's the one drawback. They get the power of a dragon, looks of a dragon, but they don't live as long as dragons.
No, not nearly as
Not even close.
No.
Yeah.
They have, so alignment with it. So taking their history, their information, their knowledge, whatever culture you come from, their alignment, they tend to go to one end or the other in extremes. Mm-hmm. So either they are, good with Bahamut or evil with Tiamat.
Mm-hmm.
So
my girl.
So most Dragonborns are good, but most of them are going to be, like I said, good on the alignment scale. But the evil ones are just evil. They're going to go, Tiamat. I'm going to do everything she wants me to do. I'm
pretty loyal.
Now you can be anywhere on that spectrum, but if you're going to follow this, you're most likely going to be somewhere on the good or chaotic evil.
Now, these are usually, again, just statistically what it is with the culture and history and everything. But by all means, if you're creating a character, do whatever the heck you want. If you want to stick more to the traditionals of the class, the race, then by all means.
Or if your DM is let's say your DM is making a campaign where you have to follow what the book says and the lore is, then you need to take in that consideration.
Yes.
So that's something that some games like that exist, and that's perfectly fine because it's an established world, an established thing. So you need to take in count, okay, if I'm going to be a Dragonborn, I need to follow all of this.
Right.
So that's something you need to look at perspective-wise.
So Dragonborn are taller and heavier than other humans.
You mean the dragon people are big?
Right. Surprise. They're typically over 6 foot tall, so they're tall, scaly boys.
6 foot is their low end.
And they average around 250 pounds. Their size is medium, though.
Yeah, they're still technically medium because they are still technically a character.
But they are tall, chunky boys. For the most part.
And it should be noted that even though they're big guys, their still base walking speed is 30 feet because they still count as a medium creature. And so this is what's going to bring us to...
This is what makes Dragonborns super interesting. If they weren't already
this is what
interesting enough.
draws a lot of people to it. This is where you really get the dragon sense of it. And that is the draconic ancestry. This is where you're...
you take the bloodline lineage and as it formed into the breath glands in your throat, and you get the ability to spit some various flavors of spice.
Right, so this is where you'll see dragons of different colors tend to have different effects, and this is where it affects the same thing as Dragonborns. So we're going to run down a couple of them, such as black dragons,
acid,
blue dragons,
lightning,
brass dragons,
fire,
bronze dragons,
lightning,
copper dragons,
acid,
gold dragons,
fire,
green dragons,
poison,
red dragons,
fire,
silver dragons,
cold,
white dragons.
cold.
Now you'll see that some of them they do the multiple colors do the same thing, and it's just the way they are. So maybe you want to do fire, but you don't want to be red, and you want to be like, well, maybe copper would be cool. Or not copper.
Yeah, if you want to be
Gold.
brass or gold.
Yeah.
So that depends on if you want to be part of the metallic and chromatic.
Correct.
The only one that doesn't get repeated is green, is poison. That's the only one. Poison, that's the only poison. So if you're going to follow chromatic is bad, metallic is good. If you want poison, if you're making up your own, you need to find you don't have to worry about the reason so much. If you're sticking with the books, you're going to need to make a reason why you're with a good party.
Right, and this is where you can kind of tie it into how we just said, like the muddling of colors sometimes. You might be able to get away, like let's say you want poison, but you don't want to be a bright green. Maybe say that with your clan it is faded to almost a black or so
or even
dull.
like a copperish bronzy type
Yeah.
color, like how the green bronzy look. You can be something more
Right,
like that.
and this is where I think you'll see it with like the gold and the brass, but they're both fire, but they're similar in color enough that it's the fading or the intermingling of other Dragonborns and stuff like that.
So each breath weapon
Yes.
has a different way it works. Some work as you're spitting a line, some work you're shooting a cone. So that is very important. If you want, and it kind of plays into, you can pick whichever color you like, what damage type, or how the breath weapon works. Because it's either a 5-foot wide, 30-foot long line, or a 15-foot cone. So if you want to hit a wide range, you're going to look at cone. If you want to hit distance, you're going to look at the straight line breath weapon. So
Right.
And they kind of make sense based off of what they are. So acid, lightning, and fire are all going to be straight line, and except with the exception of gold dragons, and then fire, poison, and cold are going to be cone. So if you want to play like a cold dragon, but you'd rather do it in a straight line, well, guess what? It's probably not going to happen because
You don't get
for
that.
Yeah.
Right, so this is where you'll see the ones that fire in lines, they're a dex save. I'm sorry, yeah, they're a dex save because you have to try and dodge the line.
And pretty much everything except for fire in the cone is a con save.
Right.
Correct.
So that is very important because some things are more dexterous, some things are more constitutional. So it depends on what you're aiming at if you want to try a breath weapon against them.
But the
Right.
best part about the breath weapons is that whatever type of damage you do, you are also resistant to.
Right, so that's
Because
Because
important to
guess
think
what?
about.
You're spewing it out your mouth, so you might as well be
right.
resistant to
So,
it.
for example, if you're a white dragonborn who's spewing cold, you're going to have resistance to cold.
Wow, isn't that?
Yeah.
Surprise.
And so then that brings us to languages. You can speak, read, and write Common and Draconic.
Ooh.
Yeah, Draconic is thought to be one of the oldest languages and is often used in the study of magic because, well, dragons are very much a fundamental part of magic.
Yeah. Ooh, imagine that.
The beings of pure...
Pure arcane energy that have existed for aeons.
Right. This is a language that sounds harsh to most other creatures, including numerous and hard consonants and syllables.
So it's very like and like very like guttural and
It sounds like a dragon talking.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's not Benedict Cumberbatch.
It sounds like somebody who has a bunch of teeth and it's very big and scary. So yeah, that's kind of how that language existed, and so that's pretty much the gist of Dragonborns. But let's talk about like different applications we could do with it.
Okay, so Dragonborns, right off the bat, with them being a +2 to strength, make them prime characters for things that are, well, hit first base.
Barbarians.
So barbarians, fighters.
You mean even things that are charisma based, such as paladins? Or
Paladins would be another good one.
sorcerers. I mean, you've already got that draconic ancestry.
Yeah,
Would make it
Excuse for
really
sorcerer's
easy.
bloodline.
right. And we
Sorcerer.
talked about sorcery. There was
The draconic bloodline. So
exactly,
that's
yeah.
literally, if you want to go magic and you want to, actually have a chance to hit people if you're not using magic, Dragonborn's a pretty good way to go.
Yeah,
+2 to strength and mean that that 10 you rolled is now a 12. So now you have a
Right.
little bit more chance.
Now, that's not to say that you have to stick with any of those, because you could very well make something like a Dragonborn rogue. Let's say that you want to be more well-rounded. So let's say you roll a set and you're like, man, my strength is kind of crap because I put my highest points into Dex and maybe in Con or something. That +2 could then bump up that low stat up to a normal 1,
Right.
so that you feel a bit more well-rounded. And this is just your decision as a player. You could very well have a character that has really low stats in some things, and it's funny to you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Dragonborn,
Or
and I can't pick up
It
anything.
can kind of help to turn that what might be otherwise the class's dump stat, like strength for a monk or a rogue, and give it that extra push. For it.
Right.
Which is
Or
good.
get rid of any negative modifiers.
Correct.
So if you have that low one that would give you a low stat, maybe put it in something like strength, and then that strength bump it up so it's no longer a negative. So those are definitely very good ones. As far as backgrounds go, you're pretty much open to a number of things.
Yeah, it depends on what your individual backstory is.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally, with how it works, where Dragonborns are so pervasive into where they are, either with their own clan, or like we said with the war, or on their own, or your clan could be a multitude of things. Any background could potentially work because you can be from anywhere. You can do
Right.
anything. So background, figure out what plants the most into why you're with the party or why you're where you are, and that can help you make a well-rounded character right at the bat instead of trying to make a character on the fly with your friends and figure it out.
I mean, but the same note, you could definitely make a character that just seems interesting. Like, wouldn't it be funny if I had like this sage dragonborn that was just dropped off at a school and he was always there and he's just this smart sorcerer?
Now, on the flip side, if you're a DM, it's always nice to have, races with different textures that can add a little bit to your backstory. You can always throw in a dragon if you have a dragonborn player that may or may not be related.
That's a valid point. Or at least even know of an ancestor. It's just
Correct.
like, I can sense your lineage of Salfu, the Dark One. It's like,
Or you can make a
no.
whole city based on dragons because you have a
A
dragonborn.
whole tower of dragons.
But not call Tower Dragons because that's scary.
Right, you don't want to go to the Tower of Dragons, so instead you go to the Tower of Worms.
But yeah, I mean, things like that. As a DM, think about how you can incorporate with but this race in particular, think how you can incorporate the lineage of a Dragonborn and how they came to be and what they're doing with the story somehow. Because dragons can either be hyper powerful allies or hyper powerful enemies. So if you want that this Dragonborn, whatever player is going against their lineage and going against the clan, boom, you have a villain.
Right.
Whether it might not be the overarching big bad guy.
Right.
It could be a smaller one to deal with, but that's still something that you can have your player feel more important because their race choice mattered in your story.
Right.
So that's very empowering to you to make something up, and to them to be like, haha, I matter.
So I think what would be kind of cool, just to kind of end off the episode, is if we each kind of talk about maybe our favorite Dragonborn that we've created, either as an NPC or as a player.
I already know who mine is.
All right, well, Sam,
go
why don't
first.
you start off?
So
with this?
mine is Cathrock Blackjaw, and he is a black Dragonborn artificer, and he is not a nice person.
Well, he was the main talking point of the
of my two-shot.
of the
Nice.
2-shot we did.
It's nice to my character.
He was nice. He was nice to all of us.
business-minded, but not necessarily on the good side of the alignment. More on the neutral evil side of the alignment. Not because he follows Tiamat or anything like that, just because he's very...
Business is cutthroat.
Yes.
Right. Now, he was an NPC for as a DM for you.
I would actually love to play him as a character just because Artificer is such a fun class.
Right.
But yeah, he was an NPC for my two-shot. So.
What about you? No, I'm asking you.
The host will go
No,
last.
come on.
Host
you
will go
Fine.
last.
Okay, so I have a bunch because I made a bunch of characters.
My show.
I think my favorite one I've ever played was Dragonborn Cleric, because having that strength, I could put most of my points in Dex and Con and Wisdom, so I would be able to not get hit and not die and still cast spells and still be able to bonk. He was a white Dragonborn because I was back in a while ago when I was like, oh yeah, Dragonborns are cool, and then I didn't think about the moral ramifications of playing in a game where color mattered. So they're like, oh cool, you're now fighting against your family. I'm like, oh, I'm a jerk. My favorite NPC is probably the one that we've been in this game that we're running on Twitch is Galdine.
Ah, yes.
He's a hairy because he's just so boisterous and proud, and he's just like, haha, I can fight anything.
He's relatively simple-minded. Yep. As far not dumb, but as far as goals in life, it's like, all right, I do things that I enjoy and move on.
I look forward to seeing what goes for him further after some more recent events in our campaign, which you can check out on Twitch.
Yes. Ding. So for me, mine's a tie. One's an NPC, one's a player. And even though I haven't gotten a chance to use either one of them yet, I still really like them. The NPC is Frostbeard, because I think it'd be a great idea to do a one-shot with pirates.
Yeah.
So I had come up with Frostbeard, which was a white dragonborn who, pirates are usually executed. They try to execute him, and they don't finish the job, essentially. They cut his throat, so he starts developing this big old frost beard. And he goes, you know what? Screw everyone. I'm going to be a pirate now. And he takes over the Arctic region and just pillages anyone who decides to come through. And he's just this big, bad...
Sounds like a nice guy.
Yes.
Sounds like I want to touch his beard.
And my other one is it's a player. It's a member of a group. There's two of them. These are my barbarians.
Oh yeah.
There's Kilgar. He is technically a bard and a fighter because he is the technical lute player. He's like the soloist. And he doesn't talk ever. He's just very quiet. He's just Kilgar. He
gives grunts, huh? He's like,
Yeah, he's a lot like Slash in that regard. Where he's there for presence.
Side note: I cannot imagining you playing a character that doesn't talk.
I would love it. Next one shot that you're a player, you gotta play a character that doesn't talk.
I think it almost would have to give Kilgar someone else to play, and then I would have to play the other member of the Barbarians or their band called the Withering Bed, which is Rust, the Earth Ganassia. He's a straight up barbarian. Where he'd be
good
the
old
vocals.
barbarians.
I have music and also the unyielding urge to kill you.
Yeah.
So those are my two. So yeah, that's Dragonborns. Again, not the Skyrim ones. These are actual dragon people.
You don't shout at people. You spew the living essence of your heritage on.
I mean, now if you wanted to shout while you were spewing the living essence of your heritage, you could.
Or I'm sure there's a homebrew version of you could probably make some kind of Dragonborn whose subclass or subrace
does like force damage.
Yes,
yeah.
to do force race.
I'm guarantee they exist somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure. So if let's say that you were looking to do something closer to Skyrim and you're like, but I want to actually be a dragon person.
So literally, what you would do, I can do this right now. What you do, because your DC saving throw would be 8 plus your con mod plus your proficiency bonus. Okay? So that'd be what the save is. You would need to do a cone effect because it's not a straight line. It hits force out. So you could do any color and have it be that. And it would be a 15-foot cone, probably a constitution save.
Ooh, made pearlescent. That'd be a cool dragon.
There you go. I have now just made the force shout an actual dragon shout. So if you want it, I can put it in the description below and you can have the information and just... boom, done.
Awesome. So outside of favorite Dragonborns that we've made, what if you were a Dragonborn, what color would you pick?
Green.
I would go black or green, yeah.
That's tough. I mean, my instincts say blue or bronze.
Yeah.
Just because lightning, but at the same time, something like green would be...
See, I definitely like the acid and poison things.
Oh, I just like green because it would be cool to be a green dragonborn and just be in the middle of the woods and like everyone would be like, "Is it a bush moving?" And I just come up and turn and like, ha!
So Dragonborns, they're dragon people. Quite simply, in the way you put it, it's what they are. They're definitely geared great for if you're looking for something that's going to be barbarian fighter.
Frontline.
Yes, if you're looking at frontline, Dragonborns are a great place to start because they already have, first off the bat, a built-in weapon part of their body.
Which is useful as a last-ditch effort to either make space or clear a room if you need it cleared.
Right. That is Dragonborns. So we'll see you guys with the next race when we come back to it. Until then, D10tion dismissed.